Now currently there are actually over 200 alligators in the main swamp. What you've seen so far is kind of what we call the tail end of the swamp. Down here is what I like to refer to as the belly of the beast. These are wild caught alligators. They are not pets. They are what would be referred to as a nuisance animal, which means for some form or fashion, you know, the place they live, the creek, the lake, the river, the swamp, unfortunately now it's something we call waterfront property. So in order to be a nuisance alligator, you really don't have to do anything wrong. It's just be an alligator. But for the most part, you know, again, most of them never did anything, like my man Freddie here. But you get a guy that's 10.5 feet, 350 pounds hanging around the pier while you're trying to swim, people really don't appreciate that. So the good news though, instead of getting turned into boots and shoes and wallets, Freddie gets to come here, chase me, eat pork chops, chase girls. It's a pretty good life. So this is kind of like alligator heaven or San Quentin with girls and better food. Either way you go. All right. Now, oh, almost had it. From a dangerous perspective, although if Freddie were to bite you, you're going to have some, we'll just call it catastrophic issues. But you know, even like this little fellow right here, he's, get back in the water, go. He's about 7 feet, but at 6 feet, you know, average bite for an American alligator is around 400 to 500 pounds now. And 400 to 500 pounds, when you get down to it, it's not that much, right? But arms and legs on people tend to break at about 450. So even the smallest alligator in our swamp, if it were to bite you, you're going to have a technical difficulty. Now, Freddie bites you, you got some bigger issues, because although from a pecking order standpoint, you know, Freddie's not that important. From a biting you on the arm or leg, it would be of some strategic importance, because you know, their bite at around 10 feet makes a tremendous transition, and the reason it does, you know, you're just dealing with a, you know, larger animal, larger muscle mass. So Freddie biting you would probably be, you know, give or take, you know, probably in that 1,500–1,800 pound range, which would hurt a whole lot. But you know, the good news, hey, it's my man Fat Albert. He's got his own version of hey, hey, hey. Come on, Fat Albert. But you know, alligators are not necessarily endurance animals. They're not designed for it. So if one of them does grab you and bite you, they can only hold that 1,800 pounds, give or take about 20 minutes. Wow. Let me translate what he just said. That's something about Illinois governors. That's all I heard.
He said, I want to eat them.
Yes.
And I love to help him out.
Freddie, here, let Freddie break the bone for us. Open up wide, Freddie. Open up. That's all right. Ow. That was the pelvic region off of a slow deer. Slow deer are not like fast deer. Fast deer actually make it across the highway. Slow deer do not. Now, from a food consumption standpoint, alligators really only need, what's up, Fat Albert? Ooh. They only need about 10% of their body weight a year. So a guy like Fat Albert, who Fat Albert's 11.5 feet, I mean, he's probably 450 pounds. You know, eating 45 or 50 pounds a year for him, he'd actually be good to go. He wouldn't be as robust as he is now, but you know, he would maintain. On the other extreme end, they can eat twice that. Their stomach is such where they can actually eat about a fifth of their body weight at one meal. So you'd be looking at an animal, you know, he could consume, you know, 90 pounds or maybe even 100 pounds. So that would be like a deer or a pig, you know, pretty large prey item. But if he ate something that big, you can imagine he'd be a little bit lethargic, but they can do it. So although they can eat exceptionally large meals, they choose not to. Y'all ready to break a leg?
Yeah, go for it.
You never know, he's a legs man.
Oh, is he?
Just saying. All right, Fat Albert. And you wouldn't think he would be very fast, but if he wanted to catch me, he could. But typically on land, open that wide.
Man.
That's just cool.
Yes.
I do that every day, and it's still cool. Yeah, he didn't put any malicious effort into that. He didn't spy. He didn't get excited. He just said, "Deer leg, I'm going to break it. I'm going to eat it." You know, their they're actually pretty dull. I mean, if you were to rub your hand on Fat Albert's teeth, you know, it wouldn't make you bleed, it wouldn't poke you, you wouldn't even be that uncomfortable. But you know, you take and put that tremendous force behind those dull teeth, that's how they're able to sink in and grab and hold. That's all they can do. When they swallow things, they swallow them whole or in large pieces. But inside of his stomach, he has enough hydrochloric acid that they can digest bones, feathers, teeth. So if you are looking at getting rid of somebody, all you are required to do is to remove their shoes. Footwear is the only thing that's left. What's up, Stub? Hopefully we get some real big guys on the bank. Most of them, again, they've had enough food where they don't really, they're just showing up today to hang out just because they like me.
Are you tasty?
See if we can get one more bite pop out of my man, Fat Albert. Hey, buddy, give me a bite pop. Open up.
Oh, yeah.
He's got his own version of hey, hey, hey. But you know, this is what alligators do 12 months out of the year, nothing. And although they are exceptionally fast on land, he's not going to chase me. It's out of his character. He knows I'm probably more agile than he is. And then two, you know, us being a biped animal, we look a lot bigger than we are. I mean, if he knew, you know, I mean, that some of us, you know, weighed as little as we did, he could pick us up, shake us like a rag doll. But they typically don't, which is a good thing. All right, we'll feed one or two more pieces. Okay. Y'all know sit and lay down. I don't teach roll over, that could be a bad habit. All right, Fat Albert, give me one more good bite pop since you're such a good food today.
Yeah.
He's just a really cool alligator.
Do you know where he came from?
He came out of Lake Seminole,
Did he?
just this side of Tallahassee. Most of our alligators came from Lake Seminole, Lake Talquin, Lake Jackson, Lake Ammonia. We have a few that are from private property, but I deal with Florida a lot more than Alabama just because A, a lot more alligators, and B, their program is just a little more advanced than ours.
How old is Fat Albert?
Let me get her some ribs. She'll leave me alone. He's, I'd say mid-late 20s.
Okay.
Good girl. Yeah, she's not a legs girl, so I give her ribs.
Ribs.
All right,
The
go.
chess man.
Be gone. Go. Now, you know, they live in the wild about 50 years. I mean, that's what their life expectancy typically dictates. You know, unfortunately, you know, we can't tell why they're alive. However, when they are deceased, there are certain markers, particularly crocodilians produce growth lags very similar to trees. Whereas we produce those same things, they're just not as pronounced because our body's constantly growing, whereas they only eat and grow when it's warm. So when it's cold, they stop. So what you have a period of accelerated growth, stop. Accelerated growth, and stop. So those growth lags, I mean, it's very similar to looking like you cut into a tree. So the oldest we've been able to document was 42, and I think we've got some that are older than that. But again, until they are deceased, we won't be able to tell.